Hello, welcome back to the channel of automotive nonsense and the car equivalent of that moment your mum marched into your teenage bedroom without knocking on the door and saw what she saw, because I'm driving the MGS9. It's a 7-seater Chinese SUV that rivals the Skoda Kodiaq. I like the Skoda Kodiaq. It's one of the easiest cars to recommend to everyone that asks for car buying advice. But this is the moment a Chinese car draws level with the Skoda Kodiaq, if not beats it in some areas, which is awkward for me because I've got to go and tell you to buy an MG now. It's kind of good. Annoying. Anyway, stay tuned and we'll find out why this MGS9 is ticking many of the right boxes. The world of car journalism at the moment is being hammered by a massive influx of Chinese cars that are slightly crap in some ways, good in others, but they're all so cheap that they end up being 7 out of 10. Really, I want to give them 5 or 6 out of 10, but you have to say, oh, for the money though, it's really good. And that isn't the case here, because this is cheap. This is £34,000, going up to 37 for this top spec one. And for that, you're getting a car that is almost 5 meters long. It is huge. It's got a massive boot. It's got 7 seats, and it's got quite a clever hybrid engine as well. So are we at the point where the Chinese are giving us German car features and also a driving experience to match? Well, stay tuned and we'll find out. But anyway, let's talk about the way it looks. It is grey, this one, but this front bumper surround here is a different colour grey. I think it would be better if this wasn't a grey bodied car, because that would stand out a bit more. You've got automatic LED headlights, daytime running lights and indicators. I think it's a reasonably anonymous looking thing, but let me know down in the comments if I am wrong. It only comes as a plug-in hybrid powered by a 1.5 litre petrol engine and a 25 kilowatt hour battery that's going to give you up to 60 miles of electric only driving power. And we'll talk about that again later in the video when we actually get behind the wheel. But let's check out the rest of it. If you want some idea of just how big this car is, those are 20-inch alloys. And they look small, don't they? This is just shy of 5 meters long. It weighs 2.2 tons. And perhaps most egregiously, it says ultimate on the side of it. I shouldn't really say ultimate on the side of it. I don't think that's very nice, to be honest. But yeah, you've got some chrome strips down there and a big bit at the D pillar, which does make it look like many of its European rivals. And you might go thinking, oh, it's a Chinese car, it's not going to be very safe. 5-star Euro NCAP. The MGS9 really doesn't disappoint in the cabin either, apart from the fact that the two-tone upholstery is very, I don't know, octogenarian Florida Golf man. It does look like the contents of Donald Trump's trouser collection, doesn't it? And you have got some reasonably tasteless plastic wood, or UPVC tree or something, I don't know. Anyway, you've got two 12-inch screens there. The middle one has got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. I'll talk about this in the driving bit, but the CarPlay has been a bit flaky on me, but it has sorted itself out over the past few days. And in the middle, you can see usual efficiency, range, and all the rest of it. You've got wireless charging down there, some cup holders, ignore my breakfast whisper wrapper. And in here, there's probably a big black hole of storage. You've got a drive mode selector there, which you probably won't use very much, to be honest. And along with more fake wood here, you have got physical buttons for all your important things. But if you want to adjust the temperature, you'll do this, or you could have done it from a home screen. Glove box is an okay size, but it's got some weird sticky stuff at the back from the factory, which is a bit odd. And this is kind of textured plasticky rubber stuff on the dashboard. So, I mean, perceptually, when you get in this car, you don't think it's going to be a 34, 37 grand car. It looks and feels quite a bit nicer, I would say. Yeah, it's a bit plasticky, but hey, you've got Bose surround system in this top spec one. You've got 360 cameras, you've got ventilated seats as well. It's a pretty killer spec list for something so affordable. Other things to note, you've got 2 star buttons on the steering wheel. They can be customized for things like changing your drive mode or the levels of brake regen. One thing I do like is that you can set a custom MG pilot mode in this car, which lets you customize your ADAS settings. So that's all the stuff that's going to bong at you when you're driving. So you can set it up how you want, and then just swipe down and tap that each time you drive, and it will turn off the speed limit warning bong and all the rest of it, which is pretty good going. One other thing that even the entry-level 34 grand model gets is this giant Pamela Anderson sunroof, which goes back over your head in the back as well. I'm just slightly baffled at how much kit this car has. There's loads of back seat space in the MG S9. I'm 6'3". That will go forward into my driving position actually, so I'll get even more room. I've got footroom, I've got headroom, even with the panoramic sunroof, which comes back to there. I've got a flat floor, a wide middle seat. The ISOFIX points have been a bit fiddly to find the first time. They're just buried down in the seat pleather. Decent door bins, they can hold an entire mermaid bottle, apparently. You've got more of that PVC tree stuff going on back here as well. The Bose sound system continues back here. You've got air vents up here as well. It is really fully featured. You've got all your climate control down here on a panel as well. And if you want to use armrest, then you have one that opens up into cup holders, and it's very comfy. Yeah, you've got mat pockets as well. USB-Cs. It's a very, very good rear seat accommodation in this car. I'll briefly show you the third row because I'm feeling a little bit fat in general, and that might be embarrassing. But hey, I'm not here for dignity, am I? I'm here for car reviews. It's a 7-seater. To access the rear seats, you pull that, and those slide really far out of the way. That's brilliant. So I've actually got quite good access there. Oh, I forgot to flip that one up. Hang on. That's easy as well. Oh, gosh. Right, well, these are some of the most reclined third row seats I've ever sat in. They've got adjustable headrests as well. Gosh, that's really comfy. And look, they're low enough that I've actually got headroom just about. Does feel claustrophobic though, because that is really high, but I've got a little armrest there. USB-A, weirdly, there. They don't get one over there. But if I pull this back, oh, do you know what? I am absolutely cooped up back here, but that isn't the worst. My feet just about fit under there. I can man spread enough, and if it was only me back here, I could sit sideways. I'm really impressed. I'm making this look stupid. The only thing I don't like is there's no ISOFIX on the rear seats, but there rarely is. As occasional seats for children. No, there we go. Oh, I was scared that I was going to get stuck in the back in a lay-by in summer on my own. As rear seats for like occasional children without ISOFIX, pretty good. Well done, MG, or Rover. There are lots of fancy little details, sort of, around the back of the MG S9. You've got all these kind of diamond patterns through the light bar. It's definitely been to Essex and had a bum jazzle. I don't really like the cluttering of the badges there, but hey, I can't talk about looks. I'm dressed like an American golfer. Second reference to them today. Fake exhausts as well. Bit of chrome. You get a 360 camera on all of them. It's a really good camera system. It's nice and clear. MG uses some kind of cheating formula to make the boot sound bigger on paper than its rivals. They say it's got 1,026 litres of boot space, measured floor to ceiling, wet. No one measures floor to ceiling. You measure to the parcel shelf. Stop cheating, MG. But actually, this looks about the same size as the boot in a Skoda Kodiaq. Under here, you've got a little bit of space for things like charging cables, your warning triangle. You can fold the rear seats up and that drops to a cheatingly measured 330 litres of space, but you have got a 12 volt there, some hooks, some tie down lashes there. These are the seat belts for the third row as well. And if you want to pop the third row up, you just pull on these little straps here, which then Velcro back onto the seat like that. You can tow 2 tons as well, and they've all got an electric boot. It's not missing anything. How is this £34,000? Normally it's when you get behind the wheel of one of these Chinese SUVs that things fall apart and all of that value for money nonsense becomes the only good thing about the car. That's not really the case here, because this S9 feels pretty well sorted to drive. The suspension gives you pretty decent body control, but also doesn't crash too much over bumps. It's probably as good as the Skoda Kodiaq in that regard. And the steering is connected enough to the front wheels that you don't feel like you're going to plough into the nearest ditch at the first turn. The ADAS systems are easy to disable with a swipe down from the top of the screen. The Steering wheel controls are kind of fathomable, and the dashboard is nice and easy to read. Yeah, it's not really got any dynamic flaws that you won't find in other European SUVs. The door mirrors are nice and big, if a bit noisy at motorway speeds, and the view out the back is kind of okay as well. The 360 camera works really well. It shows you which way your wheels are turned as well, just in case you forget. So it's good. It drives quite nicely. You could happily bang out some long drives in this in complete comfort. And I say complete comfort and long drives because, you know, you've got your massage seats. You've also got a 65-litre fuel tank, and that's quite unusual because normally when you get a plug-in hybrid car like this, you get a small fuel tank because it gets eaten up by the battery. This has got 25 kilowatt-hour battery that's good for about 60 miles of electric driving, but then you've still got massive petrol tank as well. Granted, it's supposedly got 295 horsepower thereabouts. Doesn't feel like it. 0 to 62 takes 9.6 seconds, so it's got some electric punch off the line, but it's not fast by any stretch of the imagination. And although you've got driving modes on this little select down here, you're going to leave it in normal unless you want to use the slippery road mode. You're never going to use sport mode in it. But really, well, it's just really hard to fault in the driving department. Well done, MG, for giving us here in the UK an affordable 7-seat SUV that drives really tidily. In fact, the downsides to the S9, the way it drives, really limited things like the brake pedal can occasionally be a bit hyperactive at the top of the travels when you're trying to creep to a halt. Just occasionally it will give you a bit more braking than you really want. And then there's the size of the thing. It occasionally feels really quite wide on a narrow British B road. You'll be breathing in down some of these bends, but other than that, it's just the wind noise at motorway speeds, a little bit of tyre roar too, which kind of make it feel a little bit cheaper. But it really, really, really is pretty much on a par with the Skoda Kodiaq. Yikes, we're there. One thing I would say is, although you can adjust the regen of the electric motor through 3 stages, it's mapped to one of the favourite buttons on the steering wheel. I would rather have physical paddles for that, but maybe I just want the moon on a stick. Also annoying is the way that when you go through a tunnel, the infotainment screen dims so you can barely see it. I've not actually managed to find a setting to stop it doing that. I'm sure there is one buried in there somewhere. And finally, the Apple CarPlay connection was really spotty for the first few days of driving this car. Every time I turned the ignition off and back on, it would not reconnect CarPlay. It was supposedly connected to my phone, but it wouldn't appear on the screen. I had to forget my device, forget the car from my phone and start again. And I'd do that 3 days on the bounce, and that was super annoying. But it seems to have fixed itself and stayed connected since then. But I've looked on some Facebook groups, people that own these, and there are a few people that are using these for work, driving them every day, and it is driving them mad that their phone keeps disconnecting from CarPlay. But as I said, this car's half good, half bad at that. Anyway, back to me for conclusion. I have one rule on Tim Roadie drive stuff, and that's you don't mess with the Skoda Kodiaq. It's one of my favourite family SUVs. Unfortunately, the MG S9 has messed with it, and it's done a really, really good job. The amount of kit and caboodle you're getting for £37,000, I've said caboodle too many times, sorry, is really incredible. But you're also getting a really polished driving experience. It rides well enough, it steers well enough, and that hybrid system is pretty efficient as well, and it hasn't got a tiny fuel tank. So my mind has been blown. This is a Chinese car that isn't getting 7 Tim Roadies out of 10. It's getting 8 Tim Roadies out of 10. Let's hear it for the MG S9. It is a really good family car with actually usable third rows of seats as well and a decent boot. I could go on. Yes, it's got some software foibles, but I think they'll probably get ironed out. Thank you for watching this video. If you made it this far, please criticize me in Chinese for coming at Floridian golfers and then dressing like one, which is great. So yeah, cheers. Thank you. I've managed to get through this video without hiccuping, which is all I've been doing for the past 24 hours. Like, comment, subscribe. Would you have an MG S9 or a Skoda Kodiaq? Let me know.